You see that guy? That's Chris Kyle, the deadliest sniper in US military history. And right now, he's got 2,000 thoughts in his head, but only one shot to make. This ain't Call of Duty, buddy. This is Iraq, 2003, where every corner could be your last, and your legacy is built one trigger pull at a time. But who really was Chris Kyle? A hero? A myth? Or just a Texas boy with a rifle and a god complex? Buckle up. We're diving into one hell of a war story. Before Chris Kyle became a legend, he was just a rough little Texas kid with a rifle that probably cost more than his dad's truck. And his dad? Definitely not the participation trophy type. He had this rule of life. There are three kinds of people: sheep, wolves, and sheepdogs. Fast forward a decade, and Chris is living the cowboy dream. Rodeo gigs, cold beer, big belt buckles, and probably more concussions than he'd ever admit. It's wild, it's dusty, it's America, baby. But that dream ends with a hard fall, literally. Suddenly, getting trampled for fun doesn't feel like a solid long-term career plan. It was a brutal double hit, his career falling apart and his love life crashing at the same time. She blamed him for being distant, saying she felt unloved and neglected by Chris. Then, boom, the news breaks. 1998, US embassies bombed in Africa. You can almost hear the switch flip in his brain. That's it. Chris hangs up his spurs and starts training to become America's most lethal sheepdog. Then comes heartbreak, and with it, a new purpose, more dangerous than any rodeo. One night, a smoky bar, country music humming low. Chris leans on the counter, the look of a man who's been through wars long before the battlefield. Then he sees her, Taya, confident, sharp, totally uninterested in cowboy types. She jokes about Navy SEALs being arrogant. Chris smirks. That's because we are. He doesn't impress her with words. He impresses her with presence. Taya's amused, then curious, then disarmed. One beer becomes two. Jokes turn into confessions. They just met, but the chemistry? Instant. She's not the kind of woman to fall for charm or stories, but something about Chris feels real. One date becomes two. Two become weekends. Soon he's taking her to rodeos, sharing beers, and opening up his guarded heart. And just when life starts to feel normal, the world changes. They're in a bar. The TV lights up. Smoke, steel, screaming. September 11th. Cut to a quiet ceremony. Chris in a suit, Taya in white. Against all odds, they're husband and wife. Confetti falls. The music fades. Then the phone rings. Orders have come in.
Just got the call, boys. It's on!
Chris Kyle's first mission in Iraq? Nothing fancy, just your classic perch on a rooftop and shoot people assignment. No pressure, just the lives of an entire convoy resting on the guy with the rifle and the mustache. Chris peers through his scope at the dusty street below. Then he sees him, a young boy, maybe 10 years old, innocent face, walking straight toward the convoy. In the boy's hand, a live grenade, handed to him by his own mother. Yeah, mother of the year. Chris does what he was trained to do. He pulls the trigger. The boy falls. Then the mother grabs the grenade. One more shot, 2 lives gone, convoy saved. Welcome to Iraq, sniper. From that moment on, Chris is never quite the same. His trigger stays steady, but his mind, not so much.
He came in, said you fought.
On the next missions, Chris becomes something more than just a sniper. He becomes a guardian, a long-range shield. Every shot he takes hits its mark. Every time Marines step into a building, cross a street, open a door, they know someone is watching. They know it's Chris. Back at base, the briefing room is tense. Intelligence confirms it. The Butcher, one of Al-Qaeda's most brutal enforcers. Not just a target, a monster, feared even by civilians. Mission: eliminate him before he strikes again. Soon after, Chris kicks in a door like he's auditioning for Call of Duty Baghdad Edition. The room smells like fear, sweat, and probably yesterday's kebab. The homeowner's husband pleads for help. The Butcher cut off his wife's hand. She's missing. Chris promises protection. They agree to talk. Finally, the chance to capture the Butcher. Then, sniper fire out of nowhere. Because Iraq always comes with bonus levels. Chaos erupts, and then it happens.
Oh shit!
The butcher appears. He grabs a young Iraqi boy and drills a power tool straight into his head in broad daylight while Chris watches through the scope, helpless. The boy dies. The father dies. Chris is shattered.
Fuck you!
Back home, things are supposed to be quieter. They're not. Taya is heavily pregnant, walking around like a ticking baby bomb. Chris goes in for a routine checkup. Blood pressure through the roof. And right then, his son is born.
Realistic lives, not even on the news, and
Chris.
no one cares.
Chris misses the birth, stuck somewhere between PTSD and denial. When he finally holds his child, his hands say "I love you," but his soul is still in Fallujah.
You have to make it back to us.
So he goes back, again, because one tour in hell was not enough. The butcher is still out there. Now there's another ghost, Mustafa, a Syrian sniper, Olympic-level aim, deadly. One night, Chris and the team visit a house. They turn the house into a forward observation post, keeping their eyes locked on a nearby warehouse. The place intelligence believed was the butcher's hiding spot. Friendly host, food, smiles, almost feels like peace, until Chris notices the elbow. Something's off. He searches the house. Weapons, ammo, a Taliban starter kit. Chris pins the man down. Two choices, lead us to the butcher or enjoy an American prison cell.
اتصرف وياك أو تساعدنا حتى ندخل المطعم.
With no hummus, the man talks.
10 meters.
They hit the restaurant. Bullets, shattered windows, chaos. The butcher escapes again, heavily protected by his followers. They are well trained, highly skilled, even when facing the Sals themselves. After the failed ambush, by pure coincidence, he ran into a veteran, a man whose life he had once saved. The man couldn't stop thanking him, and it wasn't just one, there were dozens of other veterans. He looked at Chris with pure respect. Chris becomes a father. Again, Taya begs him, "I need you here, not just your body, you." She talks to him, she pleads, she needs him here. But Chris, he's already halfway back to the battlefield. His body is home, but his mind is packed, locked in, and ready for war. And still, Chris goes back. He enters an area tightly controlled by militia forces. Then they lure him into a building, one that had already been prepared for him. Then it happens. On a rooftop, they let their guard down. One of their own is shot. Brutal. The grief hits hard. There's no room for tears, only rage, fueled by emotion and the need to make it right. They charge in, guns blazing, hearts burning. They came back for revenge. But revenge doesn't go as planned. Instead of taking out the enemy, they lose Mark, one of the good ones, a brother. Mark's body comes home in a flag-draped coffin, and back on American soil, the pain follows. At the funeral, silence says everything. No speeches, no glory, just loss. Taya begs again, "Don't go back." Chris already is. Taya never stopped trying to reach her husband. She never gave up on him. But at one point, even Chris told her that maybe she should start looking for another man. One last mission, one last shot. Mustafa is setting up. They deploy into a city. Every rooftop feels like it's watching, each shadow a maybe. Intel says he's setting up, another funeral if they don't act. Then, Mustafa appeared, but it was already too late. He had claimed another life. Again. Chris took aim. He calculated the wind. Every breath, every second. This was the moment. They spot him, 2,000 yards. One shot, Mustafa falls. But the shot reveals their position. Now they're running, pinned, bleeding, choking on dust. Chris survives. He comes home. His body is intact. His soul is not. To the world, he's a hero. At home, he's a ghost. Eventually, he helps other veterans. At the range, for the first time in a long time, he smiles. Then one day, he leaves for a training session and never comes back. The man he tried to save kills him, not on a battlefield, but at home. Chris Kyle, the deadliest sniper in US history, was killed by the very man he was trying to protect.